Bob was in there, his record company, the same record company, and he came in and sort of badgered us in that accent, and saying it. He'd only just seen that whole third world thing then, and my generation had seen it when I was in primary school. And I think that whole generation got that film. And he kept on about doing this gig, and I thought, oh, Bob, we said no. And then we saw him about 3 weeks later, and he badgered the hell out of us. And I said, look, we're not getting on very well. We'll be under-rehearsed. He said, doesn't matter what you sound like. And so we kind of agreed to do it, which is how he managed to talk everybody else into it. He sort of badgered the hell out of them. And all credit to him for doing that, because none of us saw it was going to be as important or as big one way or the other. Perhaps important, but never as big as it did actually get. So it was quite something.
Yeah. And I'm pleased you gave us the clean version, because I've seen versions of that story that are not suitable for radio. So you were initially sceptical. Do you think a lot of performers were in that same boat? Because it was a very short turnaround, wasn't it?
No one really wants to say that now, because in retrospect it seems wrong. But we weren't interested. I didn't really want to work. I didn't want to go out there. Nor did Rick. We weren't getting on with the other guys in the band. And Bob said to us twice, if he can get one or two of the older bands, smooth talking, and if he can get one or two of the older bands to commit, then it would snowball somewhat, which is exactly what happened. And again, as I said, a loud-mouthed upstart, educated Irish person in the years, it's credit to him for doing that.
Talk us through the memories of that day. I'm reading an interview you've done before as well, where you talk about Queen and Freddie Mercury in particular, David Bowie, seeing these people backstage at Live Aid. It must have been surreal for all of you to be in the sort of same place.
It's very unusual for us all to be in the same place. And somebody said to me on an interview yesterday that everyone seems to think you're all kind of friends. I mean, I was friends with Queen and friends with David and Mark Knopfler and a few other people, but there was a whole generation of they were the New Romantics at the time, weren't they? Who I think saw us as passé and dinosaurs and all that. It was a very bandied about phrase at the time that we were these dinosaurs. And but again, being backstage, the credit to everybody for doing their thing. We went on, did our thing. Everybody did their thing, and it worked. And the reason when I said Bob got everyone to do it, the next problem became for him was who the hell did you get to go on first? Nobody wants to go on first. It signifies that you're bottom of the bill. But again, Rick and I had no problem with that because we thought we would be on, off, and be back home in 20 minutes. They didn't realise that the thing was getting to turn into what it did. And that we hit every newsreel on the planet for the next week or so. And
you were first. You also had to come back on stage right at the end, which I read you were slightly sceptical of. You're shaking your head now. But in terms of am I right in saying that you thought you'd be home for your fish and chips by tea time? You sort of thought that'll be done?
No, I thought we'd be, if we were finished at 12:15, I thought I would be home there for maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But you just didn't realise how big it was going to be, or that you couldn't really get out. And as for going on the finale stuff, I'm not very good at all those. So I stood at the back, and I was sat on the table with Dave Bowie, and Stevie Van Zandt was there. I don't know why. And then suddenly Bob did this thing, and we all had to walk up these steps. The lights went out, so to walk up the back of the stage, and this table collapsed, and myself and Bowie and Stevie Van trying to scramble ourselves up to this. So I just stood at the back and thought, I can't deal with those things. I'm not very good at that.
Am I right in saying that Freddie Mercury got you in a sort of headlock type position? How did that come about?
How do you think?
Well, God, tell us more.
No, we were messing about as we were about to leave. Said we knew Queen, we'd done a lot of stuff, and Rick used to go and see them a lot, and there was always a battle between us and them who had the most lights and that kind of stuff. And we were just messing around, and he suddenly got me. It's a great thing for a straight guy to learn at that age, that suddenly the strength of this guy, if he wanted to do what he might have done, there was no way I could have stopped him. Are you getting my drift here, young?
Yeah, let's move on from that.
Move on.
Yeah, move on. What else are your abiding memories of that day? Who else did? Because I don't know if I'm not trying to cause sort of friction here, but I read you got the hump with Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I was sort of sitting there. You can't see this distance, about, I don't know, in this area where there was a kind of a canteen area they'd set up. And I sort of said hi and nodded, and normally what you do in showbiz, most people just hi and you nod out of the person's respect for whom they are, which obviously wasn't working with Mr. Costello. And I tried a few times, and in the end it was almost fingers, so I just left it at that. Most people were very, very polite to each other and very, very professional. And as I said, to their credit, normally you would get on, do your damnedest to make it as difficult as the person that's to follow you, to make them follow you. You overrun if possible. You make the audience go as far as you can, and you would stay in your dressing room as long as you can. Everybody stuck to the time limits, which was credit to everyone. Everyone got on, did their thing, and then got off, which was professional.
What's the legacy, do you think, of Live Aid? Because people debate it all the time now, and that some people are very critical. Others say it was a real sort of turning point. I mean, do you reflect much on the success of it?
Well, the only thing, become aware of it because you're doing so much now. And I'm aware I'm one of the only ones left alive. I love my own jokes, you see. As I said, when I was in primary school, I went to an Irish Catholic primary school, so we collected money each year for Third World famine. Who are you looking at over there?
No, I'm looking at you. My screen is slightly to the left, so I'm looking at you.
Good Catholic boy. And we collected that money. So it wasn't, when Bob first came in and said, have you seen this on the television? I said, seen what? I don't know what you're talking about. And Third World famine. Well, I know about that. It's something that it still continues today, and it's very frustrating to a degree that we did all that, and it's still pushed and tries to do all that. And there is still Third World famine. Most of those children we were feeding then are in their 40s and parents, 45, 50 years old, and our parents themselves. So that suggests there's other problems there, which one wasn't too political to go into.
Well, do you think it would happen in the same way nowadays? I mean, obviously it would be more than £5 a ticket as it was back then with a £20 charity donation. But I mean, would it happen the same?
I don't think it could, because they tried to do the follow-up to it some years later. And the feeling isn't there. There was a period when Harry Enfield was doing, and there was this comedy thing they were doing about bankers and loads of money. And that was really out there in society. And I think the feeling I got from that audience was that they were part of it, as opposed to being an audience that had paid and were expecting something. They felt part of it all, and the feeling they gave off, I never got that before or since from any audience anywhere in the world.
Lastly, I think I could see a guitar earlier on. You're going back out on tour in September, I read?
Yes, I've done half of it. We've done 32. I'm going to do some more. I go about 20 songs. I talk too much, I overrun, and I do lots of the songs that I wrote for Status Quo, and I have a hell of a good time, and I never thought I would. So the people who do come to see it seem to like it, and I like it more than they do.
Lots of good stories. Thank you very much for joining us, Francis. Really appreciate it. Francis Rossi is the frontman for Status Quo, who opened the batting, midday? So, 40 years ago.